Hey guys, welcome back to another pick a card reading. So today we're going to be taking a look at their first impression of you versus like how they see you now. I only have 4 piles to choose from today. Uh, and I'm kind of expecting this reading might be a bit longer than my typical readings just because I have like two two kind of piles shuffled out for these readings, answering like their first impression versus how they see you now. So, you know what to do. Go ahead and choose whichever pile you're most drawn to, and we'll get into your messages. Okay, pile 1, welcome to your reading. So, you guys chose this mushroom card here. So to start off, just intuitively what I get from this card. So this is a card that represents their first impression of you. I thought this mushroom, I mean, maybe you agree, it looks very like alien-like. Like it stands out from the other mushrooms, and I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but if I came across this mushroom, I might not even be sure it was a mushroom when I first saw it. It does have like, to me, it gives off a cool vibe, so maybe their first impression of you was that you were cool. It also, to me, for some reason, since it's got like a lot of red and kind of like black, and for some reason it's giving me like vampire vibes. So like maybe like goth, something like that. It could be that for some of you, their first impression of you was that you could be intimidating. And also, just looking at this mushroom, I'm not really sure because I don't know much about this mushroom. But I would guess like maybe I shouldn't touch it. It looks like it could poison me or it's toxic. So I don't know. It could be that there's a bit of like in people's first impression of you, or maybe a specific person's, a little bit of hesitancy to go closer to you, maybe because they think you might be like you could bite or you might be mean to them. I don't know. So yeah. Let's see. So this is the octopus stinkhorn. It says reveal. We get what we need when we show who we are on the inside and reveal our purpose. And you also have divine guidance, as well as teaching. So yeah, okay, with divine guidance and teaching, it could be that this person's first impression of you was that you had a specific direction in life, like you know your purpose, you know what you want to do. Divine guidance, they could see you as a spiritual person who listens to their intuition. Maybe for some of you, you actually do some sort of divination, and that came up in their first impression of you. I think their first impression of you is that you're a very wise person, someone that they might be able to learn from. But I think it's interesting because on the teaching card here it says withheld/giving. So in their first impression of you, for some of you, and I think it's going to be most of you, their first impression of you was that you had a lot of information to share, that you were very smart, you had a lot of wisdom, that maybe you could help people or help someone. Very specific, like some of you could actually be like literally teachers, and maybe that was their first impression of you, is that you're their new teacher or something like that. But yeah, for some of you, it says we get what we need when we show who we are on the inside and reveal our purpose, as well as like this withheld energy. So for some of you, it could be that this person, in their first impression of you, thought of you as holding back, which is actually kind of interesting considering I kind of thought about that with this mushroom. Like if I saw this mushroom, I might want to be cautious and maybe not like, well, I think you can touch every mushroom and you'll be fine, but that's not the same as if you eat or ingest any mushroom. So, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe for some of you, their first impression of you was that you wanted to share something, maybe share some knowledge, but that you were hesitant in doing so. Let's see. We have the sun, and we have rebirth. So, rebirth is kind of like death energy, so I would say maybe it's a bit of Scorpio vibes coming through in your reading, as well as maybe the Leo, or Leo with the sun. I think they saw you as a very authentic person, that you speak your mind, you're very honest. It could be that they saw you as someone who speaks from the heart, something where your mind and your heart is aligned. And they could have also seen you as a very powerful person. The sun to me gives an energy of vitality, so it's possible they saw you as someone with, well, maybe I would say like a lot of ambition, especially if their first impression of you was that yeah, there's a sense that you really know yourself well. You don't seem like you were lost in life. You seem like you had a direction. You seem like you know yourself well. It seems like things are aligned for you. There's clarity. I think this person felt that they could trust you, that they could see you clearly, that there's nothing like to hide when it comes to you. I don't think this person was suspicious of you in their first impression of you. Um, I don't think I need to look into the book too much for the blood moon there. Because, I mean, essentially, it's just like, it's basically the meaning of the death card. But let me just double check, because it gave like a time frame, I'm pretty sure, which I would say is probably kind of where we're at now. Give me 1 second. Oh, yeah, so one thing that it says here, kind of not what I was originally gonna say, but I'll get to that in a second. The harvest is now withering, and new seeds can be found for the year ahead. The old must die to sustain a new life. And like, yeah, I guess that kind of relates to the time frame here. It gives like a Libra/Scorpio moon cycle. Um, I don't know if I don't usually pay too much attention to the moon cycles, but I'm pretty sure I saw something saying the blood moon happened recently, which I feel like would definitely make sense if it's saying Libra/Scorpio kind of season, which we're in right now. We're kind of at the end of Libra season, entering into Scorpio season soon. So I thought that was interesting. It could be that this is a very new connection, like you just met this person. And even maybe for some of you, like I was thinking, since, we haven't really gotten to Scorpio season, maybe there could be quite a few people coming into this reading during that time. And it's like, some of you haven't met this person yet, and you will be meeting them soon. But you won't know that until you click on this reading. So I don't know. Yeah, you could have met this person recently. Some people who haven't watched this video yet might be meeting someone like that soon. Yeah, so let's see. They could have, their first impression of you could be that you've been through some pretty, maybe extreme experiences. I would say, like, maybe even if this person doesn't know you extremely well, they might get the sense that a lot of your wisdom comes from difficult experiences in life. And yeah, maybe it's like you've been through some like quite drastic endings and beginnings within life. So we have wrench, leverage, adjustment, precision, stability, pivot, build, framework, force, fixing, tighten, loosen. Let me shift my cards. I have a lot of cards today. I want to make sure we get them all in the screen. So with Wrench, in their first impression of you, I think again it kind of goes along with seeing you as a very ambitious person. Like it doesn't seem like you're not the type of person who doesn't do anything about their problems. Like I feel like you're a problem solver. Um, you get things done. There's a responsible energy they see you in, a very wise energy. Maybe it's like because there's this teaching energy you have. Their first impression of you is like, oh, I can learn something from this person, or maybe even this person could fix me, something like that. But it could also be along with, like, maybe there's this energy of in their first impression of you, like, they got this sense that you really wanted to help them, assist them in some way, maybe give them advice or teach them something, but there's like an energy of not knowing exactly how you want to do that, and maybe a hesitation in doing that. I think they see you as in their first impression of you, I think they saw you as a very stable person. Yeah, again, someone that they could, like, really trust, I feel. We have Gentle Breeze. So, yeah, I get a very kind energy as well. I think they saw you as someone who's very accepting of other people, willing to help other people, teach people what you know, help them fix things, find solutions to things. And I think they saw you in Gentle Breeze as a very like gentle soul, someone who's very kind. I would say they probably wouldn't think of you as someone who's temperamental. And again, along with like an accepting energy, it's like they feel comfortable in your presence and they feel like they could trust you to maybe open up with you. I get the sense that they feel as if, again, you're an accepting person and not someone who is very judgmental. We have Datra. It's interesting. I've had this deck a long time. This one here, and I mean, I've read about the Datra card in the book, so I know what it says in the book. But I didn't realize until recently some things came up on like my TikTok For You page about Datra and how kind of dangerous it is. Like I knew it was dangerous. Ingesting too much can lead to death. And it's a psychedelic plant, so if you ingest it, you're definitely going to be seeing some things. And I've heard that the hallucinations that come with Datra are very unpleasant. Um, hmm. There's somewhat of a dark energy. Not as if you're a dark energy, but there's this idea that maybe you've been through some really, like, well, maybe with Datra, like some literally terrifying experiences. Um, and perhaps, like, I think this person got the impression that your very dark experiences you might have gone through really made you a stronger person. And it's almost like sitting next to a Gentle Breeze, like from what I've heard about Datra, people who've ingested it and experienced hallucinations on it, I don't think that feels like a very gentle energy. But I would say it's like maybe, in comparison to some darker experiences in life that you may have had, you know, it's like nothing could phase you. Um, Yeah, it's like you've learned a lot about maybe your anxieties or your fears, and it's like you've been able to tame your anxieties and your fears so they don't get to you anymore. Um, there's like this energy of not being phased by dark things. So it's probably like they got the sense that you've experienced quite a lot of maybe like more unpleasant experiences. All right, and then the last card to kind of express their first impression of you, we have the King of Pentacles. Yeah, like there's this like very unshakable energy. You're very stable. Nothing really phases you. I feel like this person, in their first impression of you, was this person has a lot of experience. This person has been through a lot of different things. And that's why you have this wisdom, because you've experienced so much. It's not really new to you. The King of Pentacles can also be like a businessman, someone who's like their finances are stable or like their finances are looking good. Maybe this person thought of you as wealthy. Like maybe they thought you have a good job, you make a lot of money from your job, or you're just stable in your job or the things that you do. And again, I feel like there's a very trustworthy energy when it comes to you and how they saw you in their first impression. I just keep checking to make sure these cards are all in the screen. So many. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I didn't notice the sun energy here with the number 13, which I think of maybe death energy. So yeah, like big transformations. And I would say it's not just like transformations as in like life has, brought you endings and beginnings or something like that. But I would say within your mind and your heart, this person, in their first impression of you, got the sense that maybe you've changed a lot as a person based off of your experiences, and maybe your perception of things has changed, transformed, maybe in an intense way based off of certain experiences. So I don't know, like I kind of feel like this is kind of a deep first impression. Either this is like a sense that they get from you, or in some way like maybe you were sharing some sort of information that let this person know, like, oh, this person has been through some things, and this person has things to teach. This person has learned from their experiences. I say, yeah, this person probably really looked up to you in their first impression of you. Again, saw you as a very wise person, someone that they could really learn from. I even think maybe in their first impression of you, they felt you had an ability to kind of soothe other people in their anxieties or their fears. And there's something here with a gentle breeze. She's holding a dandelion. So you usually like you make a wish and then you blow out the leaves. I don't know, maybe it's like a random thing for some of you. Their first impression of you was that you were wishing for something, maybe manifesting something. So let's take a look at how they see you now. So we have change, and we have attention, resistance / surrendered. Okay. So clearly, I mean, looking at her body language, she's kind of curled up, covering her body. So maybe it's the sense that they see you now as someone who's covering up or hiding yourself in some way. Yeah, it's interesting because like maybe in their first impression of you, they felt that you had a lot to share. Maybe you were the type to be very vocal about your experiences or what you know, and maybe at this time how they see you now could be a little bit more reserved. Let me pull more cards. So we have Venus coming out. Maybe for some reason, the way they see you now is there's been a shift in your confidence. Like maybe they feel as if you're, dealing with some insecurities, confidence issues. There could be a sense that what they see in you now is there's a sense of feeling like neglected, like not getting the type of attention that you need. Let's see. So we have devotion, as well as bouquet. Romantic gesture, connection, expression, thoughtful love, admiration, gratitude. So this is interesting because the vibes that I get from how they see you now feels quite different than how they saw you at first. I don't know if this person has developed feelings for you that weren't there in the beginning. For some of you, that could be the case. Because like the way they see you in your first impression feels very platonic, like, oh, this is like someone who could teach me, or this could be a leader of some sort, or some sort of guide for me, someone I can look to for guidance or follow in some way. or maybe I know this might sound harsh, but it could be that if this is about a specific person, they didn't really, have any sort of maybe romantic intentions in their first meeting you or like first impression of you. I don't know if maybe that's changed for them, or it's this idea that maybe you had feelings for this person and how they're seeing you now is maybe kind of switching directions. Like maybe they see you as someone who's not getting what you need out of the connection with this person, and so there's a change in where you're putting your energy. Like they might have seen you as someone who was devoted to them in a maybe a romantic sense, and maybe there was a lack of fulfillment in that. They could see you as changing directions and who you want to be devoted to. I got this sense that like maybe they see you as realizing that you could maybe have more with someone in a different connection with that change energy. And it's interesting too, like this idea of hiding yourself, as well as like this iguana that's here. It's an iguana, right? Chameleon. There we go. Wrong lizard. Yes, a chameleon. And this idea of like, blending into your surroundings. So I do feel like they see you as someone who's maybe trying to blend in, trying to not be noticed. For some of you, it could be that this person developed an attraction to you and is seeing you as a very attractive person. Someone who's worthy of admiration and love. Like it could even be this sort of story that like you had feelings for this person, maybe they had feelings for you, but maybe they weren't able to show up in a way that you needed, and so there's this shift in your energy. And that can kind of get people to understand what they are losing in a person. Like maybe this is someone who didn't see the value in you at first, although they did seem to really admire you or like put you on a pedestal, see you as in a very positive light in their first impression of you. There's definitely nothing romantic in their first impression of you. But there is in how they see you now. So it gives me the feeling that they feel like they lost out on something special with you if you've changed your mind, if you've gone in a different direction. And it's like this feeling of like, oh, I don't have their devotion anymore. I don't get their attention anymore. And it maybe makes them miss you a bit, or it's like they're being made aware of what they're kind of missing out on when it comes to losing you. Regardless of the story though, like they definitely see you as a very like valuable person and a very attractive person. Um, it could even be, it doesn't have to be this is like a specific person and there's like this story of like romance or something like that, but like it could even be if they saw you as someone who is very wise, can teach people things. Maybe part of that has to do with like your romantic experiences in life. So maybe in the way they're seeing you now is kind of showing people what devotion truly looks like in a partnership, and maybe you are the one who's helping people become aware of maybe connections that are lacking or not fulfilling, and kind of showing people that they don't, maybe that they deserve more in love, something like that. So we have legacy. And I thought this was interesting because more recently I kind of associated this card with like, and I guess it would make sense in this case, if you do resonate with this sort of scenario where you've kind of given up on someone because you don't feel like fulfilled in the connection with them, or they're not able to like show up in the way that you need a partner to. Um, it's just like they're seeing you as kind of going off on your own, maybe a level of acceptance, and it's like they see you as someone who's very successful even without them. Like even if you really wanted a connection with this person, like this legacy energy, he's kind of old, and probably those are his grandchildren. um, I just kind of get the sense that they feel like you're off on your own journey. Maybe you don't need this person anymore, type of thing. Or you're kind of guiding other people to feel comfortable by themselves or alone, or that maybe there's this idea that, life can still be good when you're on your own type of thing. And maybe it's this idea that you show people that it might even be better than like dealing with someone who can't show up for you in the way that you maybe need them to. We have coral snake. And kind of like how I was describing your mushroom card, like the way if I saw that mushroom, first of all, I wouldn't even be sure maybe it was a mushroom, and then also I would definitely look at those colors and think maybe I shouldn't like eat that mushroom, or like it could be like poisonous or toxic. And that's kind of the coral snake energy too. It's like a very colorful looking snake. It's bright. It might be enticing in some way or tempting in some way, but it's definitely dangerous. So I kind of feel like the way they see you now, especially if you connect with this message of like this person was not able to show up for you in the way you need, and maybe there was a transition or like releasing this person. Yeah, it's like the way they see you now is like you might be someone who's tempting for them to kind of come towards. Maybe, well, I was thinking like of a snake, like they might want to touch the snake, but like it's this feeling like they might want to come towards you, especially if like they knew you were very devoted to them at one point and they've kind of lost that with you. There could be this sense that like maybe I could kind of revive that, maybe I could kind of bring that back, but for whatever reason I would say they see you as someone that they can't touch. They see you as someone they can't come towards. It wouldn't be a good idea. Maybe you would not be open to them. It's like this feeling of, oh, I can't go there. Yeah, and then we have the Three of Swords. And that might even be like more like how they see you, where it's like you do have like maybe, I don't know, deep feelings for this person. Maybe they see you as someone who is attracted to them. But like maybe it's this feeling like I shouldn't go over there. I shouldn't touch them, or like I should stay away type of thing. And maybe it's like they see you as you've been hurt by them, and maybe that's why you can't, go over there. You can't share your energy with them anymore, something like that. But I also see, if you don't relate to this being about a specific person, maybe you're just here for how people see you in general. I really do kind of feel like you show people what they deserve in a relationship, and kind of bring awareness to like toxic behaviors that don't lead to a healthy relationship, helping people become aware of that and helping them feel strong enough to maybe handle going off on their own journey for a while, or at least not giving their energy to someone who's going to poison them or make them feel hurt, make them feel heartbroken, or like isolated or neglected in a connection. So I hope that makes sense to you. Hope you got what messages you needed out of this reading, and thank you for watching, and I'd love to have you back in another reading. That's it from me, so bye-bye. Okay, pile 2, welcome to your reading. So I have 2 sets of like shuffled cards here, so we're going to take a look at their first impression of you, versus like how they see you now. I will say with pile 1's energy, it kind of came up in a way where it's like definitely they're thinking about a specific person and their connection with a specific person, but it also came through like a general energy, maybe like generally people's first impression of them versus how they're kind of seen in life now. I will say what I remember from your pile definitely seems like this is more about a specific connection based off of what I remember kind of going on in your pile, but let's just get into it. I think, well, we'll see where your pile takes me, but I don't know, there could be some sort of offensive messages, and it's not directed towards you, but it could be directed towards the person we're kind of watching this reading for, like the person who had the first impression of you. I would not show them this video, maybe. So I don't know, let's just get into it. So here's your mushroom card. It says Verdigris Agaric. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. It says impress. Now is the time to make an impression, stand out from the crowd, and be noticed. And then we also have unveiling, clouded/radiant, and banish a curse. I don't know. I got a lot of kind of interesting insights in your reading, and like again, like some of them are a little bit offensive. One thing that I noticed, so this was like the first card I shuffled out, and I was looking at her eyes. I mean, if you're kind of just looking at her expression, although we don't get to see like her nose and her mouth, her eyes are very low. And originally I was going to say like, oh, maybe it's this like energy that you appear unfazed, maybe unbothered or uninterested, which is funny actually. Like the word I came up with was unimpressed, which I thought was funny when this card came out of impress. So I do kind of get there's this sense that in their first impression of you, they thought you were not impressed with something. Before I kind of went in that direction, when I kind of thought in my head, like, oh, her eye kind of looks a little bit low. And I guess it doesn't really look like it too much, but I kind of got the sense that, I don't know, maybe for some of you, like obviously it's not most of you probably, but a few of you, maybe you were stoned in their, like the meeting of their first impression, so maybe they thought your eyes were kind of low, maybe they thought they were kind of red, I don't know. Maybe, for some of you, maybe it's that they thought you were tired. But yeah, with this kind of energy of like not being impressed, being like kind of uninterested or unbothered type of energy, like they could have thought in their first impression of you that they felt like they were annoying and you were annoyed by them or not impressed with them. The offensive message that I got, I'm just going to share it. Like I said, she looks unfazed, she looks unimpressed, she looks like uninterested almost. This card, for some of you, this could have been like a, yeah, for a few of you, this could have been like a sexual thing in their first impression of you, and maybe they thought you were not impressed with their, I don't know, appendage, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like maybe you were not impressed with the size, I don't know, something like that. Just the side thing, sort of random, intuitive thing that came through. Like, yeah, maybe if this was like a, I don't know, sexual thing, like they thought you were not impressed, you were not interested, you wanted them to leave kind of thing. And it could even be that without the sexual sort of overtone. Like, I also got this sense that, well, let's pull more cards first. So we have Virgo energy coming out. And we have courage. So I guess I would associate the word courage with maybe some Leo energy. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I got this sense that, like, I got this scene in my head of, like, a work connection. Maybe not like a work connection, but, like, being at work and maybe hearing your coworkers, like, chat with each other, have a conversation about something. The first impression of you could have been that you were not interested in the conversation. You kind of just stayed quiet. You stayed to yourself. Maybe they thought that their conversation was bothering you, or you just weren't interested. I kind of feel like there might have been a scenario where someone, or I guess where you, at some point spoke up about something. Like maybe it's that even like you were overhearing a conversation, and you heard something that you didn't like or you thought was unjust or it wasn't right, something like that. And I feel like maybe their first impression of you was that you didn't like what they said. Then you spoke up, shared your perspective of something, or kind of like, it could even be that you put someone in their place, like with banish a curse, and now is the time to make an impression, stand out from the crowd and be noticed. So it's almost like in their first impression of you, they thought you were quiet at first, you didn't have anything to say. Then once you spoke up or something, it's like they could tell you were dissatisfied with what you were hearing, and that you could not accept it, or, you know, it's like you couldn't accept a specific behavior or something like that, and you came into like banish a curse or correct someone type of thing. Like with Virgo energy, there could be like in their first impression of you that you were judging them for something, and maybe you had every right to do that. Like I kind of get the sense that like with banish a curse, there was a reason for you to speak up and stand your ground, maybe stand up for someone else, or like speak your mind and kind of like shut people up because maybe they were being, like negative, or maybe they were being judgmental themselves or something like that. Um, yeah, I feel like in their first impression of you, it's definitely this idea that you were not fazed with them, you were not impressed with them or what they had to say. You could pick apart what they say and kind of maybe prove them wrong, or like kind of tear down their idea of something, or it's like it feels like you stood up for something you believe in, or maybe stood up for someone else, something like that. Like you couldn't stand for something someone was saying or a type of behavior that was being displayed. So it like took courage for you to kind of finally say something and maybe put an end to someone's conversation. Say, hey, that's not nice, or hey, that's, I don't know, this or that. So we have coffee, meeting, casual date or run-in, catching up, gossip, advice, venting, socialization, discussion. Like there could have been people around you who were gossiping, and you overheard it, and maybe at first you were wanting to stay quiet, not really say anything about it, but then maybe it got out of hand and there was a moment where you needed to interject and put an end to something. I also got this sense that there's this vibe of like maybe someone was interested in you, and again they thought you were not really impressed with them, not really interested in them. They maybe got the impression that you thought they were annoying. Yeah, because like this Virgo energy could come across kind of serious, like I need to get stuff done, I need to prioritize what's important. And it could have been that this person felt like you had other priorities, and with this coffee energy where it's like meeting, casual date, or run-in, it's almost like they tried to get your attention, but you had other priorities or you were busy. So it's like you couldn't really just stop what you were doing or give them much of your attention. And it's this feeling of like, oh, they didn't like me, or oh, they weren't interested, or oh, they had other things that were more important going on. Otherwise, I really do get this idea that there were people around you who were like, I don't know, gossiping or just like speaking unkindly about something or someone, or I don't know. And it's just kind of this energy of being fed up and kind of just stepping in and maybe like shutting people up or something like that. So we have progress, and we have pitcher plant. Let me kind of shuffle my cards around so they're in the screen. Sorry, I'm sure people don't care, but for me, for some reason, I like the cards to look nice. I won't spend too much time on it, though. Yeah, for this reading, it's just going to kind of be a little messy. We have the Wheel of Fortune. Now, I guess for this one, I do kind of want to take a look at the pitcher plant. Yeah, so it's associated with deceit and illusion. The carnivorous pitcher plant gives off a sweet scent, or just gives off a scent that is enticing to insects. However, this is a trap. Once an insect has fallen inside the plant chamber, it is eaten alive with the plant's digestive juices. Beware of temptations, for things may not be as great as they appear. Yeah, I don't know. For some of you, it could be like, yeah, because I guess Virgo gives me like workplace vibes a little bit. It reminds me of someone who's quiet, who's listening, who's observing, who's judging. Like, do feel like they could have seen you as judging them, but maybe for good reason. Like with this deceit and illusion, like I would even say, like maybe it's like it's reminding me of coworkers who are willing to talk badly of other coworkers, like shit talk other coworkers, but then act friendly in their face, something like that. So like I would see this energy as standing up for that, maybe bringing awareness to that, or at least just like correcting someone and kind of shutting them up for what they're doing or what they're saying, which I feel like is something kind of negative, or like there was like justice, like put in place because of you or something like that. There's also like this idea of like illusion. Like, I don't know, for some of you, if you relate more to this first impression being that you had other priorities or you're kind of busy, and you can see how like someone thought you didn't have time for them, or that you needed them to like go away because you're busy, or like you needed to focus on something, or yeah, it's like someone felt a little bit like, again, you had no time for them, and maybe it was this impression that you didn't want anything to do with them. It could be that there is someone here who's wondering, like I kind of feel like there's someone who was really attracted to you or really wanting to get to know you or something like that, and they felt like a little bit confused as to whether it's like, are you just busy or do you not want anything with me at all, type of thing. So there could have been a little bit of confusion in their first impression of you, whether you're just a busy person and something they shouldn't take personally, or if that meant that you were just not interested in them whatsoever. Because there's this idea of like, what could the future hold? And maybe there's even in this first impression, like you came across as being uninterested, but there could have been a quick correction that like, no, I'm fine, or like I'm okay with this, or I want to progress the connection with you, and maybe kind of like bringing an explanation to why it seemed like you were not interested if that was not true. Yeah, and then I don't know, for some of you, like it just really like comes up as this scenario of people were talking badly about a group of people, someone. It felt like you needed to stand up for what you believe in, or stand up for another person or something like that. There could have been like this idea of like, oh, you're hearing coworkers shit talking another coworker, and maybe there's this idea that like you stepped in and were like, I don't know, maybe you were gonna tell them what they were saying, or you like made a threat that you were gonna kind of reveal like what they were saying, or some sort of toxicity. It's like, yeah, I hear what you guys are saying and I'm going to tell them. Something like that. Um, Hopefully that resonates with you in some way. It's kind of interesting to me, but let's go ahead and take a look at how they see you now. So we have equilibrium, and we have portal, open/closed. We also have Leo, so we have Leo energy coming out in your reading, and then we also have expansion. So one thing that I noticed so far, she's holding a baby in her hands in this portal card, and we have Leo here with, if we associate that with the fifth house, that does deal with children. Um, oh, you know what? It could even be like standing up for a kid or something like that. Like maybe there were parents that were like being very difficult or something like that. Maybe they were blaming the kid, saying the kid is being difficult. I hardly see that to be the case. Usually it's the parents that are difficult. Yeah, I don't know. It's like maybe there's like a protection over children. I do think in the way they see you now is someone who would protect children, or who would be good with children. Maybe the way they see you now is someone who does want children. Kind of interesting, considering the slight sexual vibe coming out in the beginning of the reading. Um, I don't know, maybe it's a connection where they thought you wanted kids with them, but you still want kids, or maybe you didn't want kids with them, but they realize it's not because you don't want kids, it's just that you don't want kids with them, something like that. Sorry, excuse me. So one thing that I would say, in their first impression of you, for some of you, it could be like with this open slash closed energy. I kind of feel like an equilibrium. Like I get this sort of message that if they saw you as closed minded in their first impression of you, which I think is more likely the case considering the sort of Virgo energy, maybe like a sort of judgmental energy that they saw you in. And I'm not calling you out as if that's bad, because I kind of feel like, at least with what the cards are telling me, I feel like it's within good intention of, like, if you said something or if you come off judgmental, it's for good intention or good reason. So yeah, if like they unfairly judged you because you came across as a bit judgmental, maybe they assumed you were a closed-minded person in their first impression of you. And if that's the case and you kind of resonate with that, I kind of feel like that's been switched. Like with this equilibrium energy, like they're seeing another side to you that maybe is not like they realize something's not the full truth. Like maybe if they thought you were closed-minded, in the way they see you now, they're like realizing, oh no, this person's a lot more open-minded than I was thinking. um I really think it's mostly that, because I don't think really in their first impression of you you came across as very open-minded, just because I feel like there was a dissatisfaction with something that was said or something that happened. But it does feel like you might have said something in their first impression that made this person then realize that you have a lot more like knowledge than what they thought, something like that. And yeah, like there could have been this idea that you were judging them, you were not impressed with them at first, you were unfazed, you were kind of wanting them to leave or something like that. Um, I think in the way they see you now is a lot less harsh, a lot more warm, a lot more like open-hearted, a lot more kind. Like, I don't know, it's almost like in their first impression of you, they thought of you as a very cold person or someone without a heart, which is weird if like you were actually trying to correct someone or bring in, like, if this idea of like people were shit talking coworkers and you stepped in and said, do you want me to tell them, or something like that. Like they could have saw you as I don't know, like it's interesting because I would say that's kind of like brutal and cold behavior, but maybe you're judging their brutal and cold behavior made them think, oh, you're cold. I can't open up with you. You're just going to judge me. You're going to think what I'm doing is wrong, type of thing. Um, and maybe that's true to some extent, but I think in the way they see you now, it's like maybe you've shown this person more of why you said what you did, or it's like you gave them an explanation which makes them kind of understand your perspective a little bit more. Maybe you got other people to kind of soften up and realize some sort of toxic behavior and maybe brought in a kinder energy for them, and maybe in the workplace or something like that. um, Yeah, like also with Leo energy, there's like a very loyal type of energy. So I think they see you as a loyal person, someone who's honest. I don't think they see you as the type who would gossip. Like who you are in front of people is who you are behind their backs as well, which I like. I really love that. So we have closet, clearing out something new, moving in slash out, making room, skeletons behind closed doors, hide. The vibe you give off is kind of like a solo energy. Like you don't need a lot of assistance, you don't need help, you don't need a group of friends to back you up. You're quite confident on your own. They see you as a leader. They see you as, again, someone who doesn't need like backup. You can kind of stay strong on your own in your own sort of beliefs. Um, Yeah, this sort of like skeletons behind closed doors. I haven't really heard that expression, so I'm not entirely sure exactly what that means. But for some reason, it makes me think of like, something being hidden. And this deceit and illusion. Like there could have been people around you who had like, we're not who they really are, or not who they really seem. Like they might be really nice in front of someone's face and then be shit talking them behind their backs. And I kind of feel like they see you now as someone who's unafraid of spilling the beans about something, bringing awareness about something, something like that. And I also, with this sort of like sexual energy that does come through, like, yeah, I don't know, it's like you didn't want, you, like they thought you just didn't want kids. Maybe they see you now as someone who is open to having kids. It just wasn't possible with them or something like that. Which is kind of strange considering, I don't know, the closet energy does make me think of like, this is obviously specific. It's not for everybody, but like for a few of you, it could have been that this was like an old relationship where you realized your sexuality has changed and you're no longer attracted to that gender. So like they see you as like maybe like you were not impressed with them, and they realize now that it might be because you're just not attracted to them because you're not attracted to that gender. I don't know. For some of you, that could be the case. But I also feel like, yeah, I was kind of trying to say you come across as this like lone wolf energy. Like you're strong on your own. You don't need a team. You don't need friends to back you up and, come to your aid. You're very strong on your own, so you don't need that. And it's like they saw that in you in the beginning, and they see that in you now. You don't need help. You don't need friends to come like save you or like again back up, that type of thing. Strategist. Yeah, I don't know. You're very smart. Like yeah, like it's almost like you have everything planned out. They see you as having a plan. They see you as thinking steps ahead. And in this sort of look on her face, she's just like, again, like not phased, not impressed, not happy, like willing to, like she seems like she's seeing something she doesn't like and she sees as unjust and she wants to do something about it. I find this so interesting. I really wonder if this does resonate. And we have bat. Let me take a look at bat. Okay, senses, clairvoyance, nurturing, fear. Many people fear bats due to their nocturnal tendencies and associated with vampire lore. However, the reality is that they're fairly harmless and fascinating creatures. Sometimes your biggest fears are not as bad as they actually are. Despite their negative reputation, bats are nurturing creatures, living in large colonies and bonding close to their young and family. So that's definitely interesting considering like there's a baby shown on this card and we have this sort of Leo, maybe fifth house energy. I don't know, like maybe there was a judgment on you in their first impression that you would not make a good parent or you wouldn't make a good mother, you wouldn't make a good father or something like that. And I think that's something that has changed. I do feel like there's like a leveling out of how they see you now versus how they saw you in the beginning. So if they made very kind of like big claims, big assumptions about you, like very black and white assumptions about you, it seems like you fit more in like a gray area of those things or something like that. Like maybe there was a very extreme assumption about you or an extreme claim about who you are, how you are, based off of one thing they saw about you. And I think over time they see that, like with expansion, you're a lot more than what they judged you for in the beginning or something like that. There could be an energy that they thought you wouldn't be a good parent, and they're realizing now that you would be a very good parent. You would probably prioritize your kids or something like that. They'll even go as far as caring for the sick or orphaned. They see in the night using echolocation And drawing this card is a sign to keep your senses open and be aware of your surroundings. Be receptive to the messages that the universe is sending you. Um, Yeah, like something that I would say hasn't really changed versus their first impression of you and how they see you now is this awareness you have. It seems like you seem like a quiet person, someone who's observing things. Even if you're not exactly a quiet person, you seem to observe things. You seem to be able to think steps ahead. Um, And yeah, I don't know. Like for some of you, there was this energy that you were seen as someone who could be very cold at first. And there's like a definitely like you seem a lot more warm, a lot more friendly, someone with definitely good intentions. So I don't know, there could have been a first impression that you had bad intentions or you were not trustworthy or you were going to judge them, you're very cold or something like that. And the way they see you now, again, is kind of balance that out. You're not like that, or that's not all of who you are. They saw one side of you, and you're very warm, you're very caring, very nurturing, and I think you do things with good intention. And that could have been like something they didn't see in you at first. Then we have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, I don't know. It's like your mind moves very fast in the way they see you now. Like you're very smart, you're quick to come up with solutions. Yeah, definitely with the strategist, it's like they probably wouldn't want to go up against you in a game or a game of chess or something like that. Like they think that, again, you see steps ahead. Your mind moves extremely quickly. The Knight of Swords is someone who, yeah, it's a very fast energy. The swords has to do with, our mind, maybe our communication. They might see you as someone who's quick to speak up about something. They might see you as someone who can create outcomes quite easily. Like you're good at solving problems, or at least you're good at strategizing, and I think you're good at creating outcomes that you want. I see the Knight of Swords as a very fast manifester, so yeah, they could see you that way. So I think that's basically it for your reading, Pile 2. I hope that the messages did resonate with you, and hopefully they were just as interesting to you as they were for me. I think this pile was so interesting. It's kind of fun, a little bit funny too. So yeah, those are your messages, and I'd love to have you back in another reading, but that's it from me, so bye. Pile 3, welcome to your reading. So here's the mushroom card that you chose, and just kind of looking at this card, I have a few messages to share based off of this card. So, I believe this is the wrinkled peach mushroom. When I first got this deck and I looked through all the cards, this one stood out to me because maybe it's a little bit different, but I'm pretty sure I've drawn this exact mushroom before. And I definitely didn't draw it from this deck, so maybe there's a picture out there that looks almost exactly like this mushroom, which to me, like, it might be that their first impression of you was you looked very similar to someone they knew in the past. Like, they might have mistaken you for someone that they knew in the past and realized, oh, that's not that person. Something like that. Or maybe there's this feeling of familiarity. Familiarity. There we go. And like I've seen this person before. I recognize their energy type of thing. I also think this mushroom looks kind of cute. So I don't know, maybe they thought of you like that you're cute or something like that. Like it's making me think of like it's a little bit pink. So maybe like you were wearing pink, or there's something very cutesy about what you were wearing or how you look. So yes, wrinkled peach, unique. Unique minds are and people are way showers and can change the world. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause for just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I won't tell you why, just because it's a little TMI, that I had to like have this little interruption. But it could be that in their first impression of you, they felt like there was an interruption of some sort. Maybe it's like, oh, you remembered something and you had to go somewhere, you had to do something. Something like that. That's only for some of you, though. But yeah, it says unique. I believe I already said this, but unique minds and people are way showers and can change the world. So definitely in their first impression of you, they saw you as a very unique person, someone who stands out, is different. Yeah, maybe it's like you could change the world in some way. Okay, so let's see. We have Luna, and we have Judgment, Critical. Okay. Sorry about that. There's a new cat here. Alright. Guess lots of little interruptions in this reading. So yeah, I don't know, maybe there was like some interruptions that happened in their first meeting with you, or like I guess their first impression of you. The card Luna has to do, I don't know, it could also be something where they saw you as a night owl in their first impression of you. Maybe they met you at night. There's a very intuitive vibe. So it's either that they saw you as a very intuitive person, which is interesting because it almost seems as if they saw you as someone with a balance of both intuition and like just intelligence, with Judgment, critical / complementary. It's almost like they saw you as someone with a very sharp mind, like a sharp intellect, as well as a very deep intuition as well. Which I would just say is like an extra smart person. I see intuition as a type of intelligence or a type of an awareness. So I would say they also saw you as someone who's very aware. Almost like, this is something interesting, like she's looking at these fish that are like floating in the sky, and obviously like we don't see fish floating in the sky, so yeah, this energy of water is very strong, so very intuitive, and like almost this ability to see things that aren't really there, or like not necessarily not really there, but things that other people can't see. They might have seen you in their first impression of you as someone who is very creative, very imaginative. Yeah, let's see. We have Gemini. Yeah, I don't know. I think in this person's first impression of you, they were really thinking about the communication between you two, possibly. Like Gemini energy is very intelligent. It has to do with the third house, which is about communication, the way we think about things. I would say, like, in their first impression of you, again, they thought you had a very sharp intellect, very great ideas about things. You notice things that other people don't notice. And you're very unique. I think they thought of your ideas and your mind as being very unique. Okay, let's see. We also have full moon fulfillment. Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I mean, I expressed this in like maybe pile 1 or something, that I don't really keep up with the moon cycles and stuff like that, but I don't know, like the full moon, I know it's like kind of like a supercharge of energy, something like that. But to me, for some reason, I'm just thinking of it as this like very, very full or very big intuition or something like that. Like very powerful intuition. And I think it's this, maybe they see this balance in you of like utilizing your intuition as well as utilizing your logic and your reason and your just overall intelligence. Let's see. So we have plant, growth, new ideas, nurture, patience, effort, fertility, resilience, payoff, reward, harvest. Yeah, I don't know. There could have been like something that happened where maybe you said something Like, and to them it's like you were just guessing, but you were right on the dot on something. Or it's like this idea of like, how did you know that? Something like that. Yeah, I think this person saw your mind as very creative, very intuitive, very intelligent. um, they could have felt like they really wanted to talk to you and get to know you more, understand more of the way maybe your mind works. I think they saw you as someone who's very successful or either destined for success, um, or it's like your ideas are so good that you must do something with them or something like that. Like, I feel like this person saw you as someone who's able to accomplish a lot in life. Like, maybe perhaps like anything you would want to do. With this Gemini energy, like, they might have seen you as someone who loves to learn, which would make sense with this energy. Like, you're very intelligent. They think that you're someone who could easily teach yourself anything that you wanted to know. They might see you as someone who has a variety of skills or knowledge in different areas. And again, like, there's this idea that like you should be or you will be a very successful person in life. We have Epicurean, and we have Scallop. Forgive me a few times. I'm going to be like kind of checking to make sure these cards are on the screen. So yeah, with Epicurean, there's this idea. Oh yeah, like, I don't know, like, they might have feel like you're destined for greatness. Again, like, it's almost like you should be living a luxurious lifestyle, or even if like you don't consider yourself to be rich or wealthy, like, your energy comes off that way, rich and wealthy. Like you, again, you might know a lot about many different things. You might have a lot of different interests, and it almost seems like maybe it's coming across as like, I think it's called like jack of all trades, someone who does many different things and is good at many different things. Like, maybe like it's this idea that you don't really master one thing, but you go very deep in many different things. But it's almost like this person sees you as having the ability to master anything. And again, like, Scallop could be this idea that in their first impression of you that you were maybe destined to meet in some way, but it could also be like what I see in the Scallop card. Um, this card talks about all these ridges kind of meeting into one point, which is where I get this sense of destiny. Like, all these different like experiences somehow brought you two together. But other than that, like, it also seems to me like many different ideas could lead to one big realization, or it's almost like a thought kind of spreads into many different directions. Like, with Gemini energy, it is possible in their first impression of you that they thought of you as like a little bit distracted, maybe easily distracted, or easily taken into many different like, it definitely makes sense with Luna. Like, I don't know, like, your mind is being highlighted in their first impression of you, and it seems like they thought of your mind as a very full place, a very active place. And it's like you think of one thing and then you could easily trail off into many different thoughts after that, which I think they see as like a type of intelligence. But they could have also seen you as someone who's a little bit distracted. There is this energy where maybe they saw you in their first impression of you as like, you have a certain type of quality that you're looking for, and it's like things have to be good enough for you, something like that. Like, Epicurean is making me think of someone who would prefer to go to a fancy restaurant, and they wouldn't want to go to a fast food place. Like, might think lowly of the fast food place, or it wouldn't be good enough for them or something like that. So I don't know, like, they see, that's why I would say, like, even if you don't resonate with being wealthy, like, you might choose high quality things, and they might have seen you like that in their first impression of you. Things have to be good enough for you, which I hope you don't see as a bad thing. I don't think they see it as a bad thing. And we have the Knight of Pentacles as well. Yeah, along with this plant energy, they could see you as someone who's very patient, maybe someone who has been growing something for quite a while. With the Knight of Pentacles energy, it's kind of a slower moving energy. It can take time to get things done, but we'll do everything well and we'll do everything right. Like I would say the Knight of Pentacles is a very reliable energy. So they might see you as someone who's very reliable, someone who's responsible, someone who does things like the things you produce is quality, something like that. So the work that you put in is high quality or something like that. And the way he's holding the pentacle, it's like he has a lot to give. So I think in the way they see you is you would have a lot to give. Kind of like a royal or like almost a high class energy, even if you're not. So yeah, that's their first impression of you. Let's take a look at how they see you now in the cards. So we have Learn the Truth. Interesting considering there's like an owl there. So like that's definitely something that's kind of... maybe this person hasn't spent too much time with you, so maybe that's why there's... I don't know, we'll have to take a look at the other cards. But there might... I don't know if there will be a big change in the way they see you now. But yeah, with this Learn the Truth energy, like they saw you as a very wise or very intuitive person in the beginning, in their first impression of you, and I think they still see you as a very wise and intuitive person. There might be this idea that while your mind was very interesting to them in their first impression of you, that your mind is very full of ideas. It's like you have a very creative mind. And that's kind of interesting. I completely forgot that it says unique minds and people are way showers. Yeah, they definitely see something very different in the way you think about things or the way you see things. But yeah, I think a little bit of a difference maybe between their first impression of you and how they see you now is this idea that like they saw you as a very intuitive person, very creative person, but I think they realized that you definitely lean towards what's true. There's definitely people out there that, I'm not saying not to trust our intuition and things like that, but there's this almost like blind energy of like when people realize they were wrong about something, they will not admit it or they'll like avoid it, something like that. Or it's like they're upset by the truth, so they'll fight it or something like that, where they see you as someone who honors the truth, which is kind of crucial for someone to actually be intelligent. It's like they would see you as someone who admits your faults, admits your mistakes, and learns from those things. You wouldn't try and like pretend like you didn't mess up or something like that because you're ashamed of you were wrong at some point or something. Like they see you as someone who cares about learning the truth, even if that means making a few mistakes. And it's like you're brave enough to admit when something's not true or something like that. So we have forgiveness, withholding / releasing. Yeah, initially what I thought when these cards shuffled out was this idea of like being set free from something. Yeah, like it's interesting because we have like an owl here, which I know this little bird is not an owl, but it's still like a winged animal. So it's almost like the truth setting someone free. They might see you as someone who has realized some sort of truth and it's set you free from something. Yeah, it could be that they see you as learning the truth about someone and releasing someone, being set free from a connection where you've learned the truth about someone or something like that. Let's see, we have Aquarius energy, a lot of air energy coming through, which I think, again, it's just like, I think this person was really drawn to your mind, very attracted to your mind. And I would say like Aquarius is still a very intelligent sort of energy. So they still see you as someone who's extremely intelligent and Well, with Aquarius, there's maybe a level of detachment. So they might see you as detaching from them, detaching from someone or something, maybe detaching from an illusion by learning the truth of something that's able to kind of set you free in a situation. We have rejuvenate. Yeah, there's this energy of like self focus, putting care into yourself, making sure that you are taking care of yourself. There's a very independent energy they see you in. Yeah, someone who doesn't, maybe you come across as someone who does enjoy your alone time, or it's like you need time to isolate, be alone, or like rejuvenate. Um, or at least like maybe there's a specific person that you've released yourself from, and they're seeing that you've seen the truth in them or the situation with them, and you're now kind of just rejuvenating and taking time to yourself to like maybe heal yourself in some way. For some of you, both a Gemini and Aquarius makes me think of like a sort of internet vibe. So it could be in their first impression of you, they thought of you as someone who's very like open on the internet, maybe very vocal on the internet, likes to share on the internet, like you're present on the internet. And it could be that the way they see you now is a little bit hidden or something like that. Like with Rejuvenate and Aquarius energy, it could be that they see you as taking a break from the internet, maybe taking a break from friends as well. We have light bulb energy. Yeah, I kind of associate this light bulb energy with like Uranus, and that's kind of associated with Aquarius. They see you as like somewhat of a genius, um, possibly, but it's also, yeah, like a genius. But yeah, this epiphany, realization, wake up call, revelation, ideas, enlightenment, shock. They could see you as an enlightened person, someone who's realized the truth about something. It's set you free, it's allowed you to heal. And also, again, this may be this idea that you've realized something about a specific person which allowed you to finally release them or something like that, and you're now taking time to yourself. We have finality, and we have blue morpho. Yeah. Now, okay, again, uh, for how they see you now, something that hasn't changed from their first impression of you is this idea that you're very unique. You're very different. You stand out. Um, it could be that there was a very like, yeah, okay, it kind of goes along with this idea that I kind of feel like more than the first and second pile, your pile definitely comes across as like maybe not too much has changed from how they see you now, from their first impression of you, and that could kind of imply that it wasn't a very long connection, because the blue morpho card talks about kind of a fleeting experience. It's a very beautiful experience, but it doesn't last, something like that. And the finality card is also kind of talking about an ending of some kind. So it could be that how they see you now is maybe releasing them and seeing it as like a sort of beautiful short experience that maybe didn't need to last or something like that. It could also be that there is this idea that they saw you as maybe being very tired of a situation, in their first impression of you with the plant energy, there's something here about growth, and the Knight of Pentacles, which is a slower moving energy as well. It does kind of make me think of like Saturn vibes. So that can bring delays and challenges. It can also bring an immense amount of wisdom as well. So a very long, draining, sort of tiring experience that requires a lot of effort, a lot of work. It's possible the way they see you now is like finding out some sort of information that relieves that energy. Like you don't have to feel tired about a situation. It could be that there was a person that was tiring that you've released, and it's kind of like this energy with the butterfly, like transformation and letting something go or evolving in some way, which might mean like leaving either certain people behind or leaving certain ideas behind. being able to heal yourself so that you are not trapped and you're kind of set free in some way, and kind of being done with a situation that felt tiring. So, and then we have the Tower card. Yeah, and I mean, this just kind of talks about maybe a lot of change. Like I'm assuming there's like there was a situation. Maybe it's just a situation. Maybe it's with a specific person. The tower implies that something was built off of false stability or something like that. And major arcana, from my perspective, are things that control our lives more than we have control over it. So it's almost like the way I envision the Tower card is like your spirit guides looking at you trying to do something that maybe it's unaware to you that you wouldn't even want that thing, something like that. Or it wouldn't be good for you in some way, or there's something out there that's better for you, and that's why things kind of break down so that you can move in a different direction. I feel like that's kind of associated with this learn the truth energy, like understanding why something didn't work, and knowing that you're headed towards something better. Yeah, for a lot of you, this does feel like maybe a relationship where you learned the truth about someone, which allowed you to kind of set yourself free from that connection, be able to focus on yourself more, heal yourself more, finally being done with something, and realizing that it maybe wasn't meant to work out. It, and The other thing could be that the way they see you now is that you've learned some sort of information that does allow, like, it sets you free. It does allow you to detach, and it's like this realization that something you thought you wanted, or a way you were doing something that you thought was supposed to bring you maybe abundance, fulfillment, or success, like there's this realization that that's not actually what I want, or there's this realization that the method that I'm trying is makes sense to me why it didn't work, and learning the truth about something which allows you to bring in more success, and not feel like maybe a situation is tiring, or it doesn't need to be tiring, or something like that. I don't know. I hope that makes sense for you. I hope that you got what you needed out of this reading, or that it was interesting to listen to and that it resonated. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Okay, pile 4, welcome to your reading. Now, something I want to say before we get into your reading. I have some good news for you, and I also have some bad news for you. And I wanted to tell you this because kind of going to give you like a little bit of a spoiler of your reading. To be honest with you, I don't know if this person's first impression of you was a very good first impression. So I wanted to warn you about that as we get into the first impression, it might be a little bit difficult to listen to or to take those types of messages. I can't remember exactly why. I just remember that I had to tell you this. But the good news about your pile is that your pile has the biggest turnaround in how they see you now. So as much as like maybe there's like not so good of a first impression, I think I saw the biggest change in how they see you now, which should hopefully make up for the fact that maybe the first impression was not so great. And maybe some of you already know that, and you're like, yeah, I know the first impression was not amazing, or something like that. But yeah, so let's get into your cards. Your mushroom card here. Hairy Trumpet, Funnel. Reduce the clutter around you to make way for the new. Let's see. We also have Cultivation, Neglected / Nurtured. And Courage. I think that came out in pile 2. So yeah, I mean, I always, of course, like, I think everyone pretty much associates the word courage with like Leo energy, or like lions, of course, which I think of Leos with lions. Their first impression of you could have been that you were extremely loyal in a connection. And it's possible with this cultivation energy, this neglected slash nurtured energy, that they felt like you really needed them to care about you. Or there was this deep feeling of like neglect when this person couldn't show up for you or couldn't care for you. Let's see. So we have fire energy. There definitely could be strong Leo vibes in this reading. Let's see. And then we also have Virgo, the healer. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I do feel like their first impression of you could have been that you needed a lot of help. You needed a lot of support. There could have been this idea about you that, and I see this a lot, and I think this is a sign that there does need to be work done, like internal work and stuff like that, when someone feels depressed and they like really need someone to care about it. And like, not that it's wrong to look for support when you're going through difficult times, but it's this feeling of like helplessness because you don't have someone's like support or comfort or something like that. And it's this feeling of like they could have seen you as very desperate for support or like for someone to nurture you. It could be that they saw you with this sort of idea that maybe you had this idea that like you care for everybody around you, but then nobody cares about you, type of thing. And feeling very upset about that. Like with the Virgo energy and the healer, it's like they might see you as someone who would drop everything to help your friends or help someone who's in need, or help a partner or something like that. And there's this idea that you weren't getting that back. So I don't know, it could be that they saw you as like expressing your feelings about this. Let's see, yeah, it's like they saw you as someone who wears their heart on their sleeve. I think they saw you as someone who's extremely sensitive. And someone, even with the fire energy, kind of with Leo energy, with the Leo people in my life, they've always been very like quick to like anger, to be honest. Not that they were like really aggressive people or anything. I think they like tried to seem a lot more aggressive than they really are. So maybe that's how they see you, is like you were trying to come across a lot more aggressive than you really are. Like they could have seen you as someone who's upset about something and maybe even mad about a situation where you didn't get the sort of care you deserve. And it's this feeling like, I would do this for someone else. How come no one will do this for me? And they might have seen something in you where they felt like you should care for yourself more. Maybe you should stop caring for everybody else and just turn that energy inwards and kind of just help yourself rather than look for that in other people. Let's see, we have sunglasses. Watching, stalking, new perspective, clarity, realizing the truth, focus, perception, insight. I don't know, like with the sunglasses energy, it's making me think of like if we are looking at someone with sunglasses on, like they could be looking, like their head could be pointing directly at us, but who knows where they're looking or something like that. So I don't know if this person, in their first impression of you, it's like this idea of, I don't know maybe where you're looking, or I don't know what you're seeing, I don't know what you're thinking type of energy. Yeah, like I don't know, maybe for some of you it's like people didn't understand if you were expressing some sort of hurt and feeling like neglected or uncared for. Maybe there's people around you who didn't see it in that way or something like that. Like maybe it was more of a feeling like you were being neglected rather than that actually being the case in other people's perspective. And yeah, with this energy of like feeling uncared for, like there could be, yeah, there's this like feeling of loyalty. So for some of you, their first impression of you, if this is like the person who was not giving you support and you're upset at this person for not giving you support, they could have felt like your energy was very focused on them. They might have felt like you were codependent on them, or like, yeah, very much like attention is on them. Like I could see a scenario where someone blocked you and they're, well, probably not in their first impression. I would assume like, I would say they could have thought of you as like watching them very closely, maybe stalking their social media. Um, yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, this energy of like someone not being present for you in a time of need and not being able to stay away regardless of someone else not being able to give you the support you need. Let's see. We have in control. Oh, yeah, okay. No, I remember now because so yes, like I said, there's good news and bad news because it might be very difficult to listen to this portion of the reading, and I'm sorry for that. I have to be honest about the messages that come through. But again, I want to reassure you, you have the biggest turnaround in how they see you now. And I want to say, if this doesn't sound like if this sounds very extreme and like maybe you resonate with it a little bit, but not nearly to the same extent of what I'm saying, could totally be true. Because let's, keep in mind, this is their first impression of you. This is what they think they're seeing in you. And I want to say, like, what became obvious to me when I shuffled out how they see you now is the fact that they were not seeing you clearly, like, at all in this first impression. So stay strong with me as we get through this first impression, which again might be a little bit eye twitching type of, things to listen to. Yeah, we have in control and we have moth. So yeah, there's definitely this energy where they thought like, you're kind of obsessed with them, you're codependent on them, you really need them and you need their support, and maybe that there's this idea you would feel so upset if you don't get their support. And the way they see you is someone who maybe needed to heal, needed to give that love back to yourself. And for some of you, it is possible that, that's kind of where you were at when you met this person. I've been in that energy when I was young, like, and it doesn't matter what age you are, like, we all go through life experiences at different ages, and we learn things at different ages, and we definitely don't start off perfect. We start off quite flawed, and we have to notice those things and work on those things as we go through life. So yeah, this person, in their first impression of you, again, thought you needed a lot of support, that you were very like focused on them. Maybe like they would say you were obsessed with them, that you were stalking them, that you needed to have some sort of control over the connection, which is I care for you, so you care for me type of thing, or something like that. Like they saw you as a very like sort of codependent energy at first, to be honest. Then we have strength, which is, I don't know, I feel like there's, and that's funny with the courage energy, there's like a lot of sort of Leo energy coming through. And Leo energy is what I've noticed within, I can't say for every Leo. My mom is a Leo, and she gave me a lot of trouble growing up. And I would say one thing that, so one thing about her, and I think this fits with like Leo energy, like I've known Leo people to be very generous people, and that's kind of associated with Leo energy. So I would say that's definitely true. But for my mom, she would be the type to be very generous and then hold that against someone. Well, I did all these things for you. And I think that's kind of common with parents and mothers. Like, I fed you, I put a roof over your head, so you need to respect me type of thing. Or just like this idea that like I'm so generous with you and you never give back or something like that. And kind of not really doing anything about that besides just continuously hoping that the other person will give back in the same way. What I learned was you can't rely on people like that. You do have to kind of give to yourself and make sure you're in a good position before you're giving, and making sure that what you're giving is free, that it doesn't come with expectations and it doesn't come with an I owe you or you owe me, I guess, type of thing. So they could have seen you like that, like you were very generous, but you held it over people's heads and you expected a lot in return for what you gave. And they saw you as a very persistent energy, someone who doesn't give up. Like the moth is a kind of an obsessive energy, and the way it like constantly flies up into the light, even though it's like not helpful in any way, and it could probably end their life at some point. Like I think they saw you as, yeah, again, being very persistent in a situation that was hurting you, and not changing that, like not uh, withholding your generosity, but still being very generous and still feeling very disappointed that people weren't able to give that energy back, something like that. So, kind of rough messages in their first impression of you. And again, like, either this impression could have been so off, and that's not actually how you are, kind of at all, or you've made a huge change from when this person first met you. And I could resonate with both, to be honest. So I know that this could be true. So yeah, let's take a look at how they see you now, because it's going to be a lot easier to listen to. So we have good fortune, we have relationships, distant slash connected. Like, I could see this being about a connection where you really liked someone and you really wanted their support, and maybe it's like this person couldn't tell you that they weren't able to give you what you need in a connection, and I think this person could have left you feeling neglected, not able to reciprocate in the same ways. That's all very real. And I could see this being about a connection that you've distanced yourself from. Like, there could have been this idea that like you needed to do a lot of healing to kind of like have a healthy relationship, or to even get into a relationship. Like, I could feel like maybe this was someone you were interested in romantically, and they judged you harshly, and maybe in their first impression of you or something like that, they thought like, oh, this person would never get into a relationship based off their perception of things, or based off of their behavior in relationships. And it's possible that you proved them wrong, that you're in a relationship now and it's a very good and fortunate relationship. Let's see. We have Scorpio energy coming out. And yeah, like I think that kind of, I see a few things in that Scorpio card, but, associating Scorpio with the 8th house and sort of like death and rebirth and maybe an intense transformation, I feel like, yeah, there's like this idea that, it could have just been that you were interested in someone. And maybe you felt just a little bit disappointed that they weren't able to reciprocate in the way that you thought. And maybe they were blowing it up in their head of like, oh, I bet this person is like super needy. I bet this person's super codependent. I bet like these sort of like very negative things, unfortunately. But I think that's something that has changed a lot in the way they see you now. Like, Scorpio energy is mysterious, it's quite magnetic. Like, I feel like you were very open with someone at first and really wanting to connect with someone at first. And again, like, there's this like maybe rejection of you, or not lacking interest in you because of who they thought you were. I think over time and how they see you now is like, oh, like maybe like they thought either you've changed a lot or they were so wrong about you. Because I think they see you as someone who's extremely magnetic, extremely composed, and and makes good choices within connections. So yeah, it's either that you've made a huge change and you're no longer that type of person, you've done a lot of healing, or again, like this person was really making some big assumptions about who they thought you were and you kind of proved them wrong. Like I kind of get this sense that for some of you, you might have even recognized that this person had a very bad impression of you. And maybe you notice that and you're like, oh, okay, this person thinks I'm like this. And maybe you're kind of used to that on some level. Maybe a lot of people have this sort of judgment of who you are. And maybe there's this energy of like, God damn it, like I'm tired of people thinking I'm like this or something like that. So it's kind of this throwing in the towel energy. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna really deal with this situation. I'm kind of done with it, or I'm kind of over with it. And something that I heard, which it kind of just popped into my mind right now, which is kind of interesting. I don't feel like that happens a lot, but Scorpio is associated with Mars, which Mars is like an action based energy, like driven energy, the way we take action, and it's a very fast moving energy. And something that I've heard, like other tarot readers say or astrologers say, that like Mars is not really the type to really cling on to things. But I do think they did say that, like, Mars is associated with both Aries and Scorpio, that, like, maybe Aries do tend to get over things a little bit quicker. But I just kind of get the sense that, like, you threw this person off because they thought you were going to be obsessed with them. And I think you kind of just let this person go. And it might have been, like, a big turn off that you noticed that they thought you were going to be like that. Like, no, I'm not going to obsess over you. I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. Yeah, we have preparation, planting moon. I might look into the book for that one, see what it says. We also have eye sculpture, slow, communication, cold, ignoring, need space, ghosted, blocked, pulling back, stand off. That's interesting. I kind of feel like usually in our first impression of people, unless it's like an online connection and we just saw that they said something that we didn't like, we just instantly blocked them or something. I don't know, there could have been some sort of blocking in this connection that happened, but I would say maybe it's like more on your part. Maybe you've blocked someone. If not like physically like blocked someone, like energetically, it seems like they see you as being blocked off from them. Yeah, they see you as keeping things to yourself, being a lot more secretive, not sharing information with them, maybe not sharing your feelings with them. Like you could have started to open up about your feelings, and maybe you were feeling a little bit unstable, and maybe they really unfairly judged you for that and thinking like you're a mess or something like that. And I do get the sense for some of you, you kind of sense that in that person perceiving you that way. And if you feel like that's not who you are at all, you could have completely rejected that idea of what this person thinks you are and went in a completely opposite direction. Like if you think I'm needy for needing your support and opening up with you, then you're not getting any of my like problems. Like I'm not going to be sharing them with you. I will handle them on my own type of thing. So I don't know, I feel like this person, again, saw you as someone who needed a lot of support, a lot of assistance, and either you've changed a lot or you completely proved them wrong, and they see you as someone who's self-contained, a bit magnetic, a bit mysterious, being slow in communication with them or kind of blocking them off, ignoring them, not paying attention to them, especially if I think you got the impression that they thought you would be the type to obsess over them, something like that. And it's like you might have been very turned off about that idea and instead just completely shut off from them, something like that. And then I thought it was interesting, since you have the eye sculpture here, with the word cold, and then we also have warmth. So I originally had kind of an idea about these cards, but something a little new is popping up. Maybe for a reason that it was a little delayed for me to realize this or something. But So one message could be that you are a very warm person. You might be a very loving type of person. And I think this person like kind of saw that in you in the beginning. Like you're a type of person who might, or they perceived you as the type of person who would wear your heart on your sleeve. But they might have taken that really far and again thought like you were this type of person who's really needy, who's really obsessive, who can't, who wouldn't give up on them even if like it's like again a very sort of like you were very drawn to them or you were obsessed with them or they wanted to believe that you were something like that. So now the way they see you is like, yeah, they're a very warm person, but they're not like needy and they're not needing to control a situation. Because I get the sense that you've let this person go and you're no longer really interested in this person or giving your energy to them. And it's like there's this understanding that, like, oh, you could be cold or you could distance yourself, you could detach from a person that you were really interested in. And that's something I think was quite unexpected for them. Now, there is something a message that popped into my head and it might throw you off, it might trigger you a little bit, because it is possible for some of you that the way they see you now is kind of flip-flopping back and forth between being very warm towards them and being very cold towards them. Like it's possible the way they see you now with Scorpio energy, although being like self-contained and maybe being a bit mysterious and not revealing much of your maybe emotions or your feelings at this time, they could still see you as being quite obsessed with them. They could see you as someone who, again, flips back and forth between pretending like you're not interested in them and then warming back up to them. I do see that a lot, so that could definitely be a possibility here. And then we have tide pool. Yeah, it's this sort of like flowing energy, which for some of you, it's just this like realization that you're not as attached as they thought you were, and you can kind of just let something and someone go quite easily. And it's this energy of like, they might have thought of you as someone who could be very controlling in a connection. And I think, again, there's an sort of opposite energy showing up in the way they see you now, that you don't really need to have control over someone or a connection, that you can kind of just let it be what it is. But for some of you, I do kind of get the sense that they see you as like wanting to kind of present yourself that way, that that's not completely the truth. Yeah, for some of you, it's possible they could see you as quite like manipulative in some way. To be honest, unfortunately, we have the Hanged Man, which I just like thought about that and remembered that card is here when I said that you like they might see you as wanting to present yourself a way that you don't actually, you're not actually, or something like that. Like for example, I see this a lot where, a guy might be super interested in a girl. And I don't know, I'm sure you've seen things like this. I've seen them quite a bit where it's like, I don't know, let's say a guy is messaging a girl on Facebook and he says, hey, no response. Hey, no response. How are you? No response. Hey. And it's like just this persistent energy of trying to like get someone to talk to you, and then finally when they respond they're like, hey, I'm not interested in you. And then the person goes and starts like insulting them out of nowhere. It's like, you were interested in this person, but because they rejected you, now you've completely switched. Like that doesn't make any sense. You just feel hurt, you just feel rejected, and so now you need to kind of get revenge and make the person feel just as bad as you feel because of that rejection. I could sense that energy here. They could see you like that. Yeah, with the Hanged Man energy is this energy of illusions, wanting to seem a certain way. So yeah, I do feel like that could be here. Otherwise, like I said, some of you don't resonate with that. Some of you may not be honest about resonating with that. But maybe most of you, hopefully, could be more like this idea of this person completely got you wrong. You might have been very interested in them, but there's this throwing in the towel energy of like, okay, it's not going to be a one-sided relationship, and I'm not going to obsess over you, so I'm just going to stay to myself and give my love to someone who deserves it. For some of you, you resonate with that, and this person's aware that like you are a healthy person to be with in a relationship. You can have fortunate and good relationships, and you've blocked yourself off from them. You're still a very warm person, a very loving person, maybe very innocent sort of vibes, but they didn't deserve that sort of energy out of you, so you're not really giving them access to that sort of energy. They realize on some level that you release control. You never really needed to have control. So if they were the type to kind of distance themselves from you when you needed support, it's like you realize very early on you weren't going to be able to get the sort of support or reciprocation from this person. So it completely, maybe again, it's like this energy of like, I give up and I throw in the towel and I realize this is not what I need. And I don't know, there's this idea that this person completely got you wrong, and the way they're seeing you now is like, oh, I thought this person was controlling, I thought this person was obsessive, I thought this person needed so much support and so much help, but they're realizing that you're actually quite strong. You don't need them, and there's this energy of being okay with moving in a different direction, which I think they weren't expecting. I think they assumed you would fight for the connection, you wouldn't let it go easily. And then for others of you, they are seeing you as someone who's pretending to let go of them. But like if they were to reach out, you would be so warm instantly. And the only reason you come across as cold is because of a rejection, something like that. Tough messages today. I'm sorry about that. But again, just want to be as clear as possible, as honest as possible, because it's not going to be good for you if I just sugarcoat everything and just tell you what you want to hear. And for me, like, you don't have to agree with me, but when I watch tarot readings, I want brutal honesty. Like if I'm coming to a reading and I know the situation is not good, or I know that the connection with the person is not good, I want to hear about that. I don't want to hear butterflies and rainbows, because what do I do with that? That's not the truth of the situation. Like, and I'm not saying that like tarot readers necessarily do that intentionally, but I do feel like there's a lot of sensitive people out there that can't handle the truth. And I do think tarot readers are very sensitive to that and very aware of that and try their hardest to not offend. And I wanted my channel to be very just blunt and honest, and you get what you get. You'll get a good reading, you'll get a bad reading. Like it just happens along with life experiences. We have good experiences and we have bad experiences. It's just part of life. So I hope that that makes sense to you and you understand where I'm coming from, and hopefully you're not super mad at me for the messages that come out today. But let's go ahead and take a look at the planting moon, because I'm curious about what that says. Okay, so it says, the seed has sprouted, life is flowing and growing wild, your energy is expanding, and though your passion and fire has been ignited, you may feel overwhelmed and scattered at the moment. Now is time to focus and temper your energy. The planting moon brings you back to earth. Prepare your garden so your dreams can grow. Get your hands dirty and weed your garden, spiritually and quite literally. This earthly moon cycle is connected with Gaia, the plant allies, there we go, crystal companions, and by doing so you will find your center again. When you find your center, reconnect with your purpose. Become aware of your energy and where you are putting your focus. If it does not support your passions and intentions, weed it out. The Taurus moon also reminds you to balance work with pleasure. You will You will keep your energy up and your soul nourished by doing so. Yeah, for most of you, I feel as if this highlights a Aries and Taurus moon cycle. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like maybe they see you as more grounded, more stable, an energy of focusing inwards rather than focusing on other people at this time and kind of grounding yourself. What did it say here? Hold up. I don't know. I think it was, it says prepare your garden so your dreams can grow. Get your hands dirty and weed your garden spiritually and quite literally. It's this energy of like organizing, rearranging, getting rid of things, filtering things out, which I thought was interesting considering this Harry Trumpet card. Reduce the clutter around you to make way for the new. They do see you as someone who's willing to change, willing to make adjustments. And they might see you as someone who is, just getting rid of anything that doesn't fulfill you, doesn't bring you happiness, doesn't bring you a feeling of peace. Something like that. Like, I think they see you right now as being quite isolated, being on your own, containing your feelings, containing like even an interest in this person, because again, for some of you it's like this idea that you were interested in someone and you were very open with them, wearing your heart on your sleeve with them, thinking that you could open up with them about sensitive things, and maybe it was like brought to your awareness very early on that this person was not able to support you and might even be judging you for these things or something like that. And if you realize that, then I feel like the way they see you now is this understanding that you don't need that type of energy. And as much as you were interested in this person, and you might still have, a level of interest in being drawn to this person, again, it's quite contained. It's this feeling of like, if you don't want this, then that's fine. And I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to maybe find a new relationship that can bring sort of good fortune into my life. I just think that's unexpected and something that they weren't seeing that. They thought you were going to fight for them. They thought you weren't going to be able to take your eyes off of them or give up on them, or that it's just this energy that you would be quite obsessed with them. And for some of you, it could even be just simply that they like it could even be that they were expecting that out of you. Like they thought like if they were to distance themselves from you, that you were so into them that you would come running for them, you would come save them, or you would come like fight for them or something. And maybe it was a deliberate like tactic that they were trying to get you to chase them or something. Like that could have been something. And if you recognize that, again, I think they see you now as not being, very interested in that sort of energy. Like, I'm not going to chase you. And if you want to run, that's fine. Go for it. Like, I'll just be right here next to my fireplace with my little teddy bear, and, someone who deserves my energy and deserves my love will get that. And I think somehow it was made clear that this person was not worthy of that in some way. And so they're seeing you as, you know, detaching from them, which again I think was unexpected, and you threw this person off for some of you because they really judged you, for some of you, in their first impression. So that's your reading. Again, sorry that it came out in the way that it did. I feel like most of you are going to be, stable enough in, your mental state is, in a good place to kind of handle these types of messages and not take them personally or be offended. And, a lot of you, I'm sure, would be like, yeah, I could see that. And again, like this energy of hopefully you don't take any of this personally. But yeah, that's your reading, pile 4. I hope that it was helpful in some way, brought awareness to you about certain things, and I'm wishing you the best, pile 4. And I'd love to have you back in another reading. But if not, have a great day, and again, I'm wishing you the best.